welcome back to my channel. I'm Renaissance Marie. I haven't posted in a hot minute. Listen, a lot has been going on. This, obviously, not my #1 priority. If you have been watching my videos for a while, back when I was like regular for like 5 minutes, you'll probably know that my next video was supposed to be a part 2 of a series. I don't know exactly how I'm going to continue with French Friday, but nonetheless, while I figure that out, how I figure out what I'm going to do next, I thought I'd recommend some of my favorite shows to you. I love series so much. I like series more than movies. You can call me problematic for that. That is my truth. Yeah, if you tell me to watch a show, I'll probably start it and finish it that day. But if you tell me to watch a movie, or like a movie's doing like really well in the box office, I probably won't watch it. So my first category, which is probably the weirdest category, but it's British dramedies. So my first one that I have to recommend is Fleabag. Whew, I love this show so much. To me, it is a perfect show. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. It's by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who I am a huge fan of, and it is just genuinely, I think, just a really well and put together show. It's 2 seasons, 6 episodes apiece, a really quick watch, but so mind-blowingly good. So I'm putting like my best show at the top because I know a lot of people don't watch my videos all the way through. So if you only hear me recommend one show and it's Fleabag, then this video is worth it to me. Yeah. My next show that I want to recommend in this category is Sex Education. Sex Education is a Netflix original, also 2 seasons, and it is so good. It's so good. It's so good. It is, I can't even put into words how good it is, which is not great if I'm trying to sell you on watching it, but the cast is amazing. The writing is amazing. The topics that they handle, amazing, and they handle them amazingly. If you know me in real life, you know that it is very difficult to leave me speechless. So the fact that this show can leave me speechless, I think should speak for itself. You can watch it. You can tell me how you would describe the show. It's very good. Okay, this next show that I have in this section is like kind of a dramedy, but kind of not. So I have it in both the dramedy and the drama section because I think it leans more on drama than on comedy, but it's definitely a more light-hearted comedy, if that makes sense. So this show is Gentleman Jack, and I'll like put where you can stream or watch these shows somewhere on the side. Gentleman Jack is so good. This one is a period drama, like a specific period drama in the mid-1800s, but it is lesbianic, so I mean, I say that like as though I don't watch period pieces in general, which I do, but I know not everyone else vibes with period pieces, so if you aren't super keen on a story from the 1800s, but you really like female-centered storytelling and the gays, then I also recommend the show to you. So that's the end of my dramedy section. Now we're going into British comedies. These are my favorite British sitcoms that I've watched. I'm less well versed in British sitcoms, but the ones that I do watch I think are very good. So the first one that I have is the sitcom Miranda, which I think is universally criminally underrated because even when I have been in spaces to talk about British sitcoms, I have not seen this come up. It is, I believe, written and created by, and she stars it. Either she creates it, I think she's the writer, creator, and the star of the show, Miranda Hart. She is one of my favorite comedic actresses ever. She was recently in the movie Emma, which came out this year, 2020, which is the Emma remake. If you're more familiar with Clueless, it's basically the original version of Clueless, but also a remake of Clueless. This is what happens when you don't read Jane Austen. It is so hilarious. It is so hilarious. It is my kind of like feel-good sitcom comedy style. It breaks the fourth wall, which I think is a really strong and funny comedic tactic to me. I really enjoy that. If you don't like shows that break the fourth wall, this is not the show for you because that is kind of the basis of the show. Also the same for Fleabag, I probably should have mentioned that, but either way, it's a really, really good sitcom. So the second sitcom that I have to record, this one is not niche at all. The second one is The Office, the original Office from the UK with Ricky Gervais. So I personally really like The Office US, but it is so good. It's a lot different from the beginning. The initial concept of the shows is the same about the whole bankruptcy thing and downsizing of the company. And there's obviously a lot of differences between the development of the characters because we have the characters from The Office for 9 years. We see many storylines and see them develop over time. In The Office UK, that just doesn't happen because there's only 2 seasons. But I think it's a genuine good sitcom. Obviously, it is well reviewed. And so yeah, I recommend it if you haven't watched it already and you're a fan of The Office US. But just bear in mind they are different. The last sitcom, or last British comedy that I have to recommend is The IT Crowd. I think The IT Crowd is hilarious. I love it. It's very good. I think it's very funny. One con to the IT Crowd is that it does have a laugh track, so if that's something that bothers you when you are watching comedies or something that you are just hyper aware of that there's a laugh track in shows, then even though it's really good, this might not be for you. I'd recommend trying it just in case, because if you really like it, then it could be something that you could look past. But if laugh tracks are something that really bothers you, just know that going into watching it. But if you're cool with laugh tracks and you want to start watching British comedies and you kind of like nerdy stuff and there's a black nerd on there, which is really cool, then I think that this might be a show for you. So, okay. So for British dramas, I also have 3 shows. Kind of, like 2 shows. So, first one is The Crown. The Crown is so good, y'all. It is so good. We're currently at 3 seasons, so we have 2 seasons with the first cast and 1 season out with the new cast, which is like the middle-aged queen cast, and it is so good. I was shaking in my boots, y'all, for when season 3 came out with the new cast, because the first season is impeccable. The first cast is amazing. Like, the writing is by Peter Morgan. He's written, like, I think, like, probably like 95% of the words in the show, which is crazy to think that someone can write that much content. And it is so impressive how he has crafted that, because like for that to come from one person's mind is just mind-boggling to me. Like, I don't want to say it's a feel-good drama, but you won't like be down in the dumps watching it, because like rich white people, they don't really have real problems, so you don't really feel bad, but also it's just fun to like live in that world for 6 hours. So there's that. Next British drama that I have is Killing Eve. Killing Eve is so good. Again, a lot of these I'm realizing now, I guess except for The Office and The IT Crowd, are all female-led. That's kind of absurd. Killing Eve was created by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and she also wrote the first season. Every season of Killing Eve, there's a new female head writer, so she has only written the first season, which so far has proven to be the best season. The first 2 seasons are currently on Hulu, and the 3rd season is coming out right now. 2 female leads, which is amazing. One of them being an Asian American female lead, played by Sandra Oh, which is amazing. And it's just, it's very clever, it's very well written, particularly the first season. The characters are really nice. I mean, they're not nice, but they're well-developed characters, so I really like it. And then I have 2 British feel-goods. So my first British feel-good is literally the show that's titled Feel Good. It is 1 season. The episodes are literally between 20 and 30 minutes long. And I think it's 6 episodes, so I think the whole show is like 3 hours, so you can literally watch it in one sitting because it's basically like watching an Avengers movie. Storylines about love and struggling, that'll make more sense if you watch it, are universal, but definitely the lens in which they look at it is very queer focused. The creator and main writer of the show is May something, and she essentially plays herself in the show, and it's based off of her real story. You can also look at her stand-up comedy that's on Netflix that I'll put up around here. It is very personal to her, but at the same time it wouldn't be a great show to watch if someone like me, who's different in almost every single way besides maybe being gay, can also really enjoy it. So I recommend that. My second British feel-good is The Great British Bake Off. Oh my gosh, is this show so much fun to watch. It's so good. If you're not already in love with The Great British Bake Off, get on it. I can literally see his face and I can't remember his name, I am so sorry. But one of the actors from the IT crowd is one of the hosts of The Great British Bake Off. Oh, is it Neil? Or Nigel? I think, no, Nigel? No, it's not Nigel. Is it Neil? Because I almost said Nigel Farage, but it is not Nigel Farage. Frickin' Tosh. I cannot remember his name, but I can see his face. I'll put a picture of him up. Anyways, that guy is in the IT crowd, and he's also one of the hosts of The Great British Bake Off. He's very good in both things. Next, I have American dramedies. These are all of my American shows. If you have no interest in watching shows with British people or that have the British accent, you know, whatever floats your boat, these are my American recommendations. So for dramedies, the first one that I have is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. If you know me in real life, you probably 100% have heard me talk about The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. This is probably one of the few shows that I really, really like that I do talk about in real life, even if no one else watches it, because it is so good. I have been riding with this show since season 1, and a season has yet to disappoint me. The first season, though, is really, really good and amazing because it's your first time stepping into the world. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel pilot, I would argue, is one of the best pilots ever. A lot of shows are good as a whole, right? And I think part of retaining viewership, especially from the beginning, from the pilot, is to have a solid pilot. That is not to say that other shows often have really great episodes that are not the pilot and that still make them really great shows. The Marvelous Maisel, I would argue, along with Fleabag, have two of the most perfect pilots I've ever seen. I remember watching the pilot for the first time and being like, oh my gosh, that was the most perfect pilot I've ever seen. They could have just made that episode and I would say it was the best thing ever made. It's so good. My next American dramedy is The Politician. The Politician is an insane show. It is absolutely bonkers. Watching it, you're just like, this is one of the crazy things I've ever watched. And then you realize that it was created by Ryan Murphy, who also created Glee, and you're like, honestly, this is kind of tame for him because Glee is literal insanity. So The Politician has Ben Platt in it, who is amazing. I'm a huge fan of Ben Platt. It also has Gwyneth Paltrow. Why did I say her name like that? Gwyneth Paltrow in it, which some people like her, some people don't. I don't want to say she's like a problematic fave. She's just rich and white and just is incredibly privileged. And I think she's just like a fun social experiment to watch. I don't know. I just think she's really interesting. Anyways, it's an insane show. The visuals of it are really fun, super colorful, bright, aesthetically pleasing, I find. Great characters, crazy personalities that are just coming together. Oh, Jessica Lange? How's it pronounced? I think it's Lange. Jessica Lange is in it and she's really, really good. And then my last American, what is this, dramedies is Glow. I'd say this is a dramedy. I have like kinda in the parentheses for this show because I don't know. I'm gonna say it's a dramedy. I'm gonna say it's a dramedy. For the purpose of this video, Glow is a dramedy. It basically, essentially, has an all-female cast. There are only 2 male characters. Everyone else is women. It takes place in the 80s, and it's about female wrestlers, and they are incredibly badass and amazing and fantastic. And I think the performances are really good. The writing is really good. Mark Maron is in it. Mark Maron. Oh, I love Mark Maron so much. Man, he recently came out with a stand-up comedy special, and it is so good. I'm getting off topic. I'm just talking about Mark Maron and not the show Glow. And the show Glow deserves my respect and attention. It's very good. I like how I'm saying that about every single show. I'm just like, this show, it's very good. You should watch it. Okay, next show. But it's a period piece, but it takes place in the 80s. So like, it's not current, but it's not Gentleman Jack that literally takes place in like the 1880s, you know? So do with that information as you will. It died, but I think I can get a little bit more life out of it. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, really good. It's about cops, but like good cops, and I don't like cops, but I like these cops, so I think you should watch it. And it's really funny, and it's crazy, and the concepts are just wild, and if anything, watch it because you want to find that clip where the lineup sings I Want It That Way, which is really funny. And the characters are great, and there's a canonically bisexual character on it, which is great for bisexual representation, so watch that. The next American sitcom that I have is the criminally underrated Community. The Community was a part of the trifecta that was The Office and Parks and Rec and Community. They were all on NBC roughly about the same time. I'd probably say that Community overlapped with Parks and Rec more than it overlapped with The Office. As we all know, Parks and Rec is incredibly successful. The Community is lesser known. That being said, I do have to address that the creator of Community has a very problematic past. It was created by Dan Harmon, who is not a good guy by any stretch. I'm not defending him, I'm not saying it, so if you don't watch it because it's created by Dan Harmon, that is valid and respectable. I got into the show before I knew about Dan Harmon. It's really unfortunate because the show is a great show. It really is. It's well written. The concepts are great. Every single storyline and structure is just basically airtight. It is amazing. There's a great natural development of inside jokes within the show. I wouldn't want to recommend that show without telling people that backstory of it, just because I think it's really important. I think people should be able to make the decision to support or not support certain creative projects based on who is in them. My American feel-good show that I have is, okay, this is my guilty pleasure. Literally, I don't think anyone knows that I watched this show. But you know, I'm gonna do it for you because it's like, this one, let's just say if you watch it, you don't have to tell me that you watched it. This can just be our little secret, okay? My American guilty pleasure / feel good is Sex and the City. I know. Let me tell you, it is so cheesy. It is so cheesy. Like, extra cheese, cheese on the side, cheese dip, cheese. I was born in 2001. Sex and the City was popping in the late 90s and the early 2000s, so now that I'm old enough to watch it, watching it reminds me of just like my childhood and the world that was around me that I couldn't understand, because obviously I wasn't like comprehending culture around me. But with that being said, it's not that deep, you know? Like, it's a cheesy show. It's an all-white friend group in New York City. So like, you know, like I'm not gonna call this show good. It's not a good show, but it is fun to watch. I will give it, and the characters are so iconic. That is the end of my British and American genres. So the first non-English show that I have to recommend is called Call My Agent in English, or 10% in French. It is a French show. I would say that this is a dramedy. What the gag is that actors are playing agents to actors. Like when you think about it, because you're just like, oh my gosh, they're like an agent, they have to deal with talent. But then you realize that the people playing them are talent. I haven't seen a show that's particularly about that. There are a lot of other workplace dramas and office dramas, but I think there's something about being like almost so meta about it being particularly an office that handles actors, and it's a show with actors. I think that's interesting. The next non-English show that I have, I cannot pronounce the name of it because it's in Icelandic, so I'll put it somewhere on the screen so that you can look it up. But so for the interest of just the show, I'm gonna call it Stella because that's the first name of the character that the show is named after. But that's not really how they pronounce it because they say it like with an Icelandic accent. Like it is Stella, but like I'm saying it the American way, so. Anyways, for the interest of this video, I'm just gonna call it Stella. It's very, very gay, kind of, you know? So it's not always gay, but when the gay arrives, it's very gay, and then he goes back to not being as gay. But two women, very fun. This one, if you like Killing Eve, I would highly, highly, highly recommend this show. They're different, like they're different concepts. This one is about a lawyer and the interior minister woman. Iceland is a very, very small country, and it mainly deals with like domestic issues, kind of international implications, but domestic issues. There's some cultural nuances that I think are really interesting to watch, especially since it is a drama, but at the same time, it's still a Western European show, so I'm an American, I can pick it up. It's just, there are a lot of cultural nuances and cultural differences that I think add to the interest of the show, and the interest of watching it. So those were my show recommendations. That is a lot of hours of series and of streaming to do. So enjoy. I hope this is able to fill some time, start something new. Those are all of my shows. Again, if you watch them, contact me on my social media and we can talk about them literally at any time, any of these shows. I love them all very much. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. I don't know when I'm going to be uploading again. I don't know what videos exactly I'm going to be making. So just stay tuned. If you do want to support this channel, if you are really interested in the videos that I make, you can always subscribe. I have never asked people to subscribe at the end of my videos, but since I do kind of want to start taking this seriously and really get into it, I should start asking for people to subscribe. So if you're interested in what I make, if you want to see more of what I make and want to be notified when I make it, if you subscribe and hit the bell notification. We all watch YouTube, we all know what to do. Yeah, so follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter if you want. You don't have to. I don't know, it's kind of weird. All of my followers are still locals, so I feel weird advertising my social media, but also at the same time, if I'm going to make a YouTube, I should probably invite people to follow my social media. I don't know, I'm not big yet. Why am I worrying about this? Why did I say big yet as though it's going to happen? I'm just not big on here. And that might be it. Okay, this is a weird outro. I'll see you guys later. Bisous, ciao.